Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about Oppenheimer. Some of you Nolan fanatics might not like what is about to come, but trust me, you need to hear this. Before delving into this Oscar-winning film, I want to ask you guys to subscribe here and join my Patreon channel. I need your support to make the essays that you deserve. So please introduce my channel to your friends and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Okay, so there are many entry points in this film, but I chose the following bullet points. Cliché versus original, intellectual puzzle versus emotional experience, Wikipedia storytelling, visual aesthetic, music, and propaganda. To be fair, using cliché extensively is the disease of Hollywood, but what is related to Nolan is how he utilizes it. In characterization, for example, Nolan chooses the most cliché and corny type. How many times have you seen a clumsy guy in a school being laughed at? To his credit, he wants to change it a little. Oppenheimer gets so frustrated that wants to poison his teacher. But of course, because it is too mainstream of a film, we do not expect the teacher eating that apple. Another example of bad characterization is the mechanical use of language, which is a fancy word for cliché dialogue. Listen to this and judge it.
You see beyond the world we live in. There is a price to be paid for that.
Or when he constantly wants to show us that his character is smart. Here's a good example.
I'm an American myself.
How surprising.
Let me know if you need any help with the English.
De botsing tussen een alfadeltje en een atoom. Frange voor een verschillende energie in de verbinding is op een naam in de relatieve translatie.
What's he saying? We're a couple of New York Jews. How do you know Dutch?
Well, I thought I'd better learn it when I got here this semester.
You learn enough Dutch in 6 weeks to get a lecture on quantum mechanics.
I know this type of characterization in which supporting actors talk the main guy up to show that he is smart, funny, charismatic, whatever. It is a Hollywood tradition that works in many films. Casablanca is a fantastic example of this.
Oh, there's no hurry. Tonight he'll be at Rick's. Everybody comes to Rick's.
I've already heard about this cafe and also about Mr. Rick himself.
Will you ask Rick if he'll have a drink with us?
Madam, he never drinks with customers. Never. I have never seen it.
But as you can see, the focus here is how charismatic Rick is, not how many languages he knows. Nolan seems to be impressed by IQ rather than character, and that is why Oppenheimer and many of his protagonists do not have any tangible and relatable character. And while we are at the cliché of characterizations, why the good lawyers are always idiots? Another cliché is the recruiting process with the montage. Guys, seriously, how many times? And this out of place weird montage sequence. Why is it out of place? What the fuck is he doing? I know some people will probably impose some bullshit meaning here, but trust me, there is nothing going on. In Rocky, for example, we know that he is going to fight and the montage serves as a compact training. But here, what are we compacting? I don't get it, but if you do, please comment below and enlighten us. Okay, this is in line with the characterizations that I mentioned. Information is creating more of an intellectual puzzle rather than a profound understanding of the characters and the film's world. In this scene, we do not hear what Oppenheimer asks, but we see the reaction to the discussion about it. However, this does not carry any emotion for us, only a fleeting curiosity.
You ask the only good question.
What is the only good question? Is this our story? Really? Who cares? These are just mechanical techniques, not dramatic and emotional experiences. Okay, Oppenheimer is smart. What is he like as a human being? Almost all characters in this film are a sham. None are being represented because they are human beings, but because they are tangled up in a story of bomb making. More evidently, you can see this in female characters. Female supporting characters usually carry an emotional weight and make us understand this story on another level. What is Florence Pugh doing? She is just a link between Oppenheimer and communism. Is she showing us another side of Oppenheimer? Is she making him understand something? The worst is Emily Blunt, his wife. Her only real function is that she alerts Oppenheimer through nagging and making the theme intellectually visible. Nagging like here.
Why won't you fight him?
And theme externalization like here.
You think
that if you let them tar and feather you, then the world would forgive you.
Which I must confess is pretty horrifying because the film thinks him being blacklisted and losing that mansion that they live in is somehow equivalent of contributing to the death and destruction of the world. But I will talk about it later on. The whole structure of the film is full of intellectual games. Who was the informer? Who is ruining him? Why is the film in black and white sometimes? Even in these type of genre, Hitchcock, who was a master of the craft, cautioned against intellectual games.
Fusion between the words mystery and suspense. And the two things are absolutely miles apart. You see, mystery is an intellectual process, like in a whodunit. But suspense is essentially an emotional process. Therefore, you can only get the suspense element going by giving the audience information.
What Nolan does is creating mysteries that no one actually cares about, no suspense. For me, Nolan is like Jordan Peterson of cinema. He talks about everything in a preachy manner, and inexperienced people think that he is profound. He talks about communism versus capitalism, scientific theory, politics, and so forth with the self-confidence that no good scholar can have. But he knows deeply that he is a sham. That is why he just mentions headlines like a quick look at a Wikipedia page and passes them. He cannot go deeper. And formally, it is exhibited in the speed of events in his films. Nothing sinks in. It's like the life we live in the capitalist world. All pace and info, no time for emotion and profound understanding. In this sense, Nolan is the embodiment of capitalism. So we expect that Nolan, the Oscar-winning director, must at least have visual quality, right? In this film, the image adds little to the plot. The images mostly represent talking heads. There is little to no divergence from the plot to expand its emotional sphere by cinematic means. There are some moments though, like this. And this. But then again, if you really think about it, it is a development in Nolan's cinema, as he no longer confuses cinematic imagery with acrobatic stunts. Good examples of visual storytelling can be found in the modern Italian cinema, like in Fellini's films Antonioni, and in the US in 2001 A Space Odyssey. Plot is information and we need it to understand the world, but cinema is a visual medium. The more a director can effectively diverge from the information to effectively expand the emotional impact of the said information, the films can potentially become more cinematic. Notice that I said effectively because many films, like Nolan films, even when they try to diverge from the plot, their attempt is not effective in emotional visualization. In this film, when he wants to be emotional, he fucks up. Yes, look at this scene.
Psychiatric treatment, she was extremely unhappy.
Did you find out why she had to see you?
I thought Nolan is transcending and maybe using an imagery that can have metaphoric meaning, though a very obvious one. He feels naked with all these questions, but no, becoming naked is not a metaphor here. It is literal. And whose point of view are we watching the film from? Why all of a sudden see the film from his wife's perspective? I don't know. Okay, Nolan is very famous for the music of his films. So, there's a concept called music carpeting. It refers to when filmmakers overuse music. Nolan has always overused music and carpets all parts of his films with it. What does the carpet do? It hides the inconsistencies of the surface. In other words, Nolan is hiding his not so smooth storytelling by music.
No spy at Los Alamos.
Gentlemen, let's not get sidetracked.
I say we use this moment to gain concessions from the Russians by committing that we will not. When the world learns the terrible secret of Los Alamos, our work here will ensure a peace mankind has never seen. A peace based on the kind of international cooperation that Roosevelt...
He should leave without.
Okay. Kirsty, you replace Neddemeyer. Seth, I'm putting you on plutonium. Lily, you go up for Kirsty. Because he needs you. Fuchs, you take Teller's role. I'm putting you exclusively on the implosion device. And no one is leaving Los Alamos.
Music should add something to the image, to the story. Let's see an example instead of just talking about it. You see here, music is building the bleak world view of Travis. It is an added layer of emotion. Here, the music is mirroring the visual movement form of cinema at its best. Propaganda, yes, the sweet topic of propaganda. So I have a video completely dedicated to what propaganda is. The short answer is reduction of human complexities to carry a political or ideological message. The link is in the description, so if you want to delve into propaganda, I suggest that you watch it. So how to spot a propaganda? If you saw a dialogue like this,
Damn it, I happen to love this country.
Then tell them to go to hell.
or this,
Why would Hill come here to tear me down? What's his angle?
Do people need a reason to do the right thing?
you are watching a propaganda, my friend. And the efforts that the film makes to distinguish between him as a communist and him as a New Dealer, and the efforts that the film makes to distance communism from unions, oh my god, pure propaganda. Communism is treated as a disease. What if he was a Marxist or communist? I understand that he had to play for the committee, but who is Nolan playing for? Us? Or his capitalist masters that give him millions of dollars, awards, and undeserved status to shit on socialism? And he can do this because there are no profound talk about Marxism. The deepest discussion is this.
Robert here says he's not a communist.
Well, then he doesn't know enough about it.
Oh, I've read Das Kapital, all 3 volumes. Does that count?
Again, with him being smart and knowledgeable. And the rationalization of the making of the bomb is very, very interesting. We want to have it before the Nazis, and then the bomb is used after the Nazis were defeated. Regarding Japan, listen to this.
Actually, that historical debate still goes on until today. The most recent and so far most authoritative work by Japanese professor Hasegawa indicates pretty strongly that what brought the war to an end was not the 2 atom bombs, but the fact that the Russians were invading. The Japanese hawks hoped until the last minute that they could make a deal with the Russians, and the Russians would not invade.
What is Nolan's position to this? Nothing. A distant, ridiculously pretending to be objective while presenting more facts in quotation, of course, in defense of the bombing. It was inevitable. And he uses this technique of changing the subject, the technique that people use on a daily basis when they lie. The film quickly changes the main question. Who was the spy that sold the information to the Soviet Union? Okay, so are we done with the justification of the bomb making? There are too many significant blocks of a story here that cannot be possibly shown in a feature film. Each requires meticulous attention and each has moral connotations which inevitably will lead to drama and conflict. But what Nolan and any smart propaganda maker does is focusing on the process. And the most immoral part of the film is what I mentioned briefly.
We need a systematic destruction of Oppenheimer's credibility so he can never again speak on matters of national security.
How the fuck systematic destruction of Oppenheimer's credibility is equivalent to contributing to killing many people and the destruction of the world? He's presenting this story as if a bad man is making Oppenheimer face the consequences of his actions.
Not Hiroshima, not Nagasaki. He should be thanking me.
Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and subscribe to my Patreon channel. See you soon.